Hello, this is DrGAKMAN here selling some more Nintendo related items. This is a small but big NES collection. Let's go through the games. I'm going to go through them really quickly and then I'll go through them individually a little bit later. This is Golf, NES Golf, Mac Writer, RC Pro-Am. What does this say at the top? I can't remember. Oh yeah, that's right. It's written in some foreign language, or some language that I don't understand. But it's King's Knight, Dragon Warrior 4, Street Fighter 2010, The Final Fight, Section Z, Gradius, Super C, Captain Bucky O'Hare, Silent Service, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, the Manhattan Project, River City Ransom, Clash at Demon Head, Top Secret Episode starring Golgo 13, the man with the custom-made M16, Iron Tank, the Invasion of Normandy, Toxic Crusaders, Tecmo Bowl, Star Soldier, Airwolf, Arch Rivals, Iron Sword, Wizards and Warriors 2, Bases Loaded 2, the second season, Rampage, and Battletoads. Most of these games are just excellent games. Most of these games were bought new. I would say about a third of them were bought used, but they've stayed in the same household since I bought them. Unfortunately, there's no boxes or inserts or instructions with any of these, I'm sorry to say. So, you know, it all depends on what type of collector you are, but I think this is a great collection. All of these don't have any frontal sticker residue or frontal problems. They might need to be cleaned, like Bucky O'Hare right here has some problems. This one definitely, Clash at Demon Head. Somebody wrote 138 on the front, and there's a void sticker on here that, well, that's not a sticker, that's just the residue left behind. If you want to see the backs of all these, I can show you. There's Airwolf, Arch Rivals, Iron Sword. They all have their caution labels still intact. And most of the sticker residue, if there is any, would be on the backs here. There's Rampage, Battletoads, Star Soldier, Tecmo Bowl, Toxic Crusaders, Iron Tank. This one, I'm not going to take this off. This is like a security label. That would be really sticky. This one has a little bit of sticker residue. This one doesn't. That's Gradius, Super C. Before that was River City Ransom, Clash at Demon Head, Bucky O'Hare, Silent Service, Turtles, Turtles 2, Turtles 3, Section Z, Street Fighter 2010. This one's got a goldenish label on it. Dragon Warrior 4, King's Knight, RC Pro-Am, Mac Writer. Ooh, wow, this one's still got a sticker on it. I better get that off. I thought I looked at all these, but I guess I didn't. Golf, NES Golf. Anyway, I'll take the sticker off of that Mac Writer later. This was a part of the original NES, what do they call this, the Sports series, and this was the Programmable series. There is a nick on here, I'll show you, right there. Not that bad. It is definitely one of the used ones. They all play, though. RC Pro-Am, this was made by Rare. It's one of the first big games that Rare made for Nintendo, but we know how Rare turned out. This was Square and their old emblem. This was actually a shooting game, but it was set up like a, people shooting, kind of like a mercenary force on Game Boy. it was kind of odd for Square. Square did make a lot of crappy games. That's what led them to Final Fantasy. They thought that that was going to be their last game, and it ended up being their first game for a lot of people. So, Dragon Warrior 4. This was co-published, I believe, by Nintendo and Enix. I could be wrong, though. Nintendo did seem to favor Enix and Dragon Warrior over Final Fantasy and Square, but now Square and Enix are together. We all know that. This had nothing to do with Street Fighter or the final fight. It did star Ken. I don't know if he was in a movie star, or he was a movie star in a crazy movie set in the future or what. But he's got sunglasses, and they call him Ken. I was so excited when I got this, but then I realized it was not anything to do with Street Fighter. I should have known that by the cover, but oh well. It's still a fun game. This, I got it because the cover art, and I thought the game would be based off of Bubblegum Crisis. They just changed the name when they brought it over here to America. Sometimes they did that. I still don't know if it's based off Bubblegum Crisis or not. This doesn't look like any of the Bubblegum Crisis characters, but that doesn't mean that the artwork does look the same pretty much. They're wearing cyber bubble suits, and it looks like a girl, so that's what would be Bubblegum Crisis. Okay, let me go through this next row. This is the Silver series that Konami had. There's an interesting story behind that. Konami, I like this little label here. It says over 1 million sold in Japan. This was based off of, I believe it was based off an arcade game, Gradius. And Super C is the sequel to, one of the sequels to Probo Tractor if you're in Europe, or Contra if you're in America. These are Silver Band series, Konami games, or Konami, depending on how you want to pronounce that. These were Konami, Nintendo in the past, and a lot of people hated this about Nintendo, or a lot of publishers, I should say, and developers. They thought that Nintendo was tyrannical, but in order to prevent flooding the market with a bunch of games, and in order to prevent shovelware and stuff like that in the past, not to say that there wasn't shovelware, but you know, this was trying to help to prevent that. Nintendo made it a rule that you could only, I think it was only 6 games that you could bring out a year. One publisher could bring out. So Konami decided to make a company called Ultra in America. Here's 3 of their games. Turtles, the first 2 games, and Silent Service, which is based off of Japanimation. It's a submarine simulator. It's really fun. These were all made under the Ultra label so that they could release more than 6 games a year. And they actually released, I think, 6 Ultra games that year and 6 Konami games that year. Among them would be in this collection. Here's Bucky O'Hare. This would be one of the more rare gems of this collection. The toys and the cartoon series are rare. A lot of people don't know what it is. I mean, I'm sure you could look it up nowadays, but even back then it was kind of rare. I don't know if this was something that Konami planned on doing. A game, you know, a side-scrolling beat-em-up. It's not like a Turtles beat-em-up where it was kind of like pseudo 3D, if you are not Turtles 1, but you know, Turtles 2, the arcade game. They're normal beat-em-ups. It's more of a side-scroller beat-em-up, like a platformer almost. But it's still a beat-em-up, in my opinion, because it's made by Konami and they're really good at that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's based off of Bucky O'Hare, Captain Bucky O'Hare, and I love that cartoon show, and this game was really fun. It was very challenging. This is, like I said, based off of Japanimation. This is, of course, based off of Turtles. There was another 4th Turtle game brought out for the NES. It was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Tournament Fighter. I don't have that in this collection, unfortunately. That was, like, I think it had its own unique characters to it, but it was not as good as the Super NES version that came out at the time. But Konami was smart in bringing the game to multiple audiences, just like they were smart to bring out the arcade game, even though it's very inferior in most ways to the actual arcade game. It was still smart of them to bring out a home version on the NES. That's something that's missing nowadays. You know, when a game comes out, it seems to stay exclusive to certain platforms, which I don't think is very smart for publishers. I think they should try to reach all platforms, but that's just me. This was, you know, again, based off the arcade game, which was awesome. And then this was made in the same kind of vein and engine, if you want to call it that back then. And it was great, and it featured some of the newer characters at the time. There's Triceraton, which he's awesome, and they're awesome, and they have like things like Dirtbag, and I think there was Wingnut in it, and Ground Chuck. I mean, they had all kinds of turtle characters and enemies in it that a lot of people don't even know who they are, but they were cool characters that were made into cartoons figures. But okay, next row. This is Hot Blooded Boys in Japan, I think is what it was called. It's labeled there. River City Ransom, one of the best NES games. It's awesome. This is, and that was from American Technos, the American version of Technos, which is basically just a Technos game. Vic Tokai. I loved Vic Tokai because they put a lot of variety in their games, especially Go-Go 13, man with the custom-made M16 top secret episode. There was other Go-Go 13 games made, but this was probably one of the more popular ones in America, if it was even popular at all, if you could say that. Most people didn't like even the first level, and they gave up on it because it seemed kind of lame. But, you know, there was story mode, there was a shooter mode, helicopter, there was a sniper mode, there was ambush mode, there was underwater modes, there was mazes, of which I got stuck in one of them and I never completed the game. But anyway, it's a fun game, really hard, really challenging. Clash of Demon Head, if you've ever seen the movie Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. The name of the band, you know, they was rivals with, blah, 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 and that had his ex-girlfriend, and it was Clash of Demon Head. Well, they named it after this game. This is one of those ones where the cover art, you can't even tell what the hell's going on. But anyway, SNK, which later made the Neo Geo. This was Iron Tank, The Invasion of Normandy. This is a tank game. It's really fun. I like the way SNK did theirs. It was silver with these blue to green stripes on them. Bandai, before they became Namco Bandai, years and years ago. Toxic Crusaders, which is based off the cartoon, which is based off the movie, in the vein of like a Swamp Thing, mutants. I even remember the theme song to this and Bucky O'Hare. It's kind of crazy. I don't know if this would be as rare as Bucky O'Hare. I think Bucky O'Hare would be more rare, but still, though, this is kind of rare. Tecmo Bowl, awesome game, and this is the Bo Jackson version. Star Soldier, there was several different versions of Star Soldier made throughout the years. This is a shooter game. They made a 3D version of it on Nintendo 64. That was why I bought this one, because I bought that one. Taxon, the company, I think they got bought out by Square Enix later on, and now they're just non-existent. Acclaim, speaking of non-existent, here's 3 of their games. This is Airwolf, based off the hit TV series, it says, and it was a hit TV series. It was awesome until the guy started beating his wife in real life and got thrown in jail. I think that's the story behind that. But anyway, the theme song on this, you'll play NES games, and the theme songs are pretty crappy, especially if they're based off of real life theme songs. But this theme song was actually kind of very chiptune-ish, just like the actual theme song. And I don't want to go on and on about the theme song, but it was pretty fun. You start this game up and you're like, oh, that's the show. Arch Rivals. This is based off the arcade game. It wasn't as good, but it was kind of a fun game at the time. Iron Sword, Wizard of Warriors 2. Who's that handsome fellow right there? Oh, that's Fabio. A lot of people don't know that he not only put his image on romance novels, but also in video game. Bases Loaded 2, I'm not really a sports fan, so second season, blah, 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 whatever. Rampage, this is based off of, and that's from Jaleco. This is from Data East. They also made the RoboCop games and Bad Dudes and stuff like that. This is Rampage. Classic arcade game, but it doesn't translate too well on the NES. And then here's the classic game, Battletoads from Trade West, which is kind of no more, unfortunately. They need to make a new Battletoads game, but they'd probably ruin it nowadays if they made it. But This is a great collection. Thank you for watching, and happy bidding.